Super Mario 64 is a game that millions of people have played, and for good reason. The game was revolutionary for the industry, being basically the first attempt at a fully 3D platformer. There are 120 stars to collect in the game, but after you get all of them, what else is there to do? Well, if you were ever a child with a small supply of games, then you likely came up with little challenges to do in order to get more playtime out of your games. That, or you ran around the castle doing nothing like a madman. Challenges such as, how fast can I beat this level? Or, is there another route I can take for this stage? Or even, can I take this object to this location? However, one of these challenges takes precedent over the rest, the A button challenge. The rules are simple. Do not press the A button. This might sound trivial, but the A button allows Mario to jump, which is what Mario is known for. He is Jumpman after all. The game is designed around the move, so this makes this challenge one of the most interesting things I've ever seen. Jumping isn't the only thing the A button can do. It allows him to perform other moves, but we'll talk about those later. The A button challenge is incredibly compelling because it's a difficult task to come up with the strategies to lower the A press count, and the community that does it is brilliant. The extensive history of the A-button challenge and how they've lowered the A-press count has luckily been pretty well kept track of. The first mention of an A-button challenge on the internet dates all the way back to 2001 on Roger Wardell's website, though I'm sure plenty of kids in 1996 attempted it. Roger Wardell ran a Super Mario 64 challenge website on which he detailed challenges he did and how he completed them. One of these posts was about beating Bob on Battlefield, the first stage in the game, without pressing the A button. He was able to do so in 4 A presses. In 2001, before anyone really knew any glitches, this was a fine score. The first person to have a full game A press count was a man named Thiago Trujillo. Apologies if I pronounced that name wrong. Though some A presses were missing in Peach's Castle, Bowser in the Sky, Dire Docks, Tiny Huge Island, Tick-Tock Clock, and Rainbow Ride. His total was 263, which, again, was good enough for its time, but extremely archaic from today's standards. In 2013, they had lowered the amount by around 63, meaning the count was now at 211. In August, the largest figure in the community arrived on the scene, Coic 2012. He brought with him his knowledge of several glitches that would help to improve the count. By the end of 2013, they had eliminated around 100 A presses, bringing the count down to 117. This was an exciting prospect, as having less than 100 presses was looking closer than ever before. During 2014, Panin, Plush, and Gainy D all found several strategies to bring down the count. In the end, they got it down to 79 A presses. In 2015, progress was once again moving quickly. Panin, Plush, and Tyler Caney were all working together to cut down the total. In the end, they were able to bring it down an extra 42, making the new count 37. It was clear they were making progress fast. However, the reason these improvements were so drastic was because the strategies found skipped sections with many A presses in them. With hardly any of these sections left, progress was going to slow down. In 2016, only 3 more A presses were saved. In 2017, however, 13 were shaved off, giving us a total of 28. Despite the low number of stars that required A presses, the game still wasn't beatable with 0 presses. You only need 70 stars to beat the game, and there were more than enough stars available to get that total, but the game was still impossible to beat without pressing the A button. In Bowser in the Fire Sea, the second boss level of the game, there's a part about 1/3 into the level where you're forced to jump off a pole to get to a higher section with no other way up. The only problem is the only way to jump off the pole was to press A. This roadblock plagued the community for a while, since the beginning of the ABC, but in 2018, it seemed like someone had finally figured out a solution. A man that goes by Andrew discovered that if you let your system run for enough time, the platforms that float on the lava in the stage will rise enough for you to skip the pole altogether. He figured this out by accidentally leaving his Wii on overnight and going back to platforms high above the lava, far away from where they usually reside. However, because he was using the Wii, they soon discovered that this was a glitch only performable on the Wii Virtual Console version of the game, since it changes how integers are rounded, causing the platforms to slowly round to the Y coordinate of 0. Now, the run is usually performed on the Japanese Nintendo 64 version of the game, since that had some version exclusive tricks, so they had to make a choice. Either switch to the Wii Virtual Console and have an overall higher A press count but be able to beat the game, or stick with the unbeatable N64 version but be unable to beat the game. They decided on sticking with the original version. By the end of 2018, the count was down to 21, and in 2018, that was lowered to, funnily enough, 19, with only 14 being unique. They are as follows. 1 is in Jolly Roger Bay. You need to jump to collect the Treasure of the Ocean Cave Star. 1 in Lethal Lava Land to collect the Elevator Tour in the Volcano Star. 2 in Shifting Sand Land, but they're both for the same use, to get out of the elevator in the pyramid. 2 are in Tiny Huge Island. You need to do 2 different jumps to get red coins. 4 in Tick-Tock Clock, though 3 are for the same use, to get out of a grinding spot in a treadmill. But the remaining 1 in Tick-Tock Clock is to get out of a Pedro spot. There is 1 in Princess Peach's Secret Slide, to get the star, 2 in Wing Mario Over the Rainbow, both to shoot out of cannon, 1 in Bowser in the Fire Sea, to get off the pole discussed earlier, and 5 to navigate the castle to get into each level, 3 of which are to get into Tick-Tock Clock. 1 is to get into Rainbow Ride, and the final A press is to get into Wing Mario Over the Rainbow. 19 is a stark contrast to the 263 that was required only 12 years ago, and it's all thanks to the amazing strategies. The sheer amount of strategies that were discovered over that 12-year period is amazing. When Coic came to the scene in 2013, he brought a lot of glitches with him, such as cloning, which is when you despawn an enemy in your hand, usually done with a bob-omb, and load on another object into your hands. This allows you to hold things you're not supposed to. This makes it so you can get infinite coins or create a Goomba ladder. He also brought frame walking, which lets Mario walk up steep slopes easily, naturally, as well as hat in hand, which allows you to pick up an object without updating the hope, aka the held object's last position, which is what the game uses to determine where to release an object when you throw it. There are also parallel universes. A PU is a carbon copy of the stage without any object in it, located thousands of units away from the main stage. It's caused by the number that Super Mario 64 uses to calculate Mario's position hitting the integer limit and resetting back to 0, called an integer overflow. This tricks the game into thinking that Mario can stand somewhere he can't, since the game thinks he's on the stage when he's really far away. These parallel universes can be useful, as there's infinite of them in any direction. So if there's an obstacle in your way, you can go into a PU to avoid it. You need an immense amount of speed to get to one, as you must travel to them in groups of 4, called QPU, quadruple parallel universe, which is also a cause of the way Super Mario 64 calculates Mario's position. Essentially, Mario's movement is tracked in quarter steps every frame. Every quarter step, the game checks if Mario's above a floor. If he is, then he moves. If not, then he doesn't move. So, in order to move to a PU, all of Mario's quarter steps need to be over a PU, so you must move by force that the game will actually allow him to move. There's a lot more to it, but that's the general gist of how it works. There are hundreds of glitches I could name, but then this would be longer than the history section. However, glitches aren't the only strategies they use. Sometimes all they need is tight movement too tight for a human to perform, which is why they TAS it. A TAS is a tool-assisted speedrun or superplay. Essentially, they tell a computer what to input on every frame, allowing them to perform precise movement without having to attempt it 1,000 times. They just get a computer to do it for them. Some stages don't require you to jump, but require you to hold the A button down, as that allows you to do certain actions such as kicks, swimming, or falling slowly with the wing cap. In those situations where only the holding action is required, you can hold down the A button from the previous A press that is required. An A press has 3 different parts to it. The part when you initially press the button, when you hold the button, and when you release the button, though the release is no use in Super Mario 64. You only use the second part, the holding, for these actions, so it's counted only as half, since it can leech off the previous A press. In a full game run, it's counted as 0 A presses. However, in a single stage run, it would be counted as 1 A press. Thus, it's called a half A press since it only counts half at the time, not because it uses half the A press. The most common reason for needing a half A press is to do kicks, since you will fall through most objects while traveling at QPU speed, the speed needed to traverse QPUs. Yes, we are still talking about a Mario game. It's incredibly impressive that the community was able to figure out how to perform these intricate techniques. The community of the A button challenge is one of the most dedicated and resilient communities I've ever seen on the internet. They are extremely committed to their cause, stopping at nothing to reduce the A press count. In 2013, Twitch streamer DakotaSpine was streaming Super Mario 64 in the stage Tick-Tock Clock when Mario was randomly teleported to the top of the stage. Since this would be extremely useful for the ABC, Pan and Koic put out a video stating that if anyone is able to recreate it and send him proof, he would reward them with $1,000. To this day, nobody's claimed the reward. A moment that caused the community massive amounts of strife was in 2016. On January 12th, 2016, Pan and Koic uploaded a video to his main channel titled SM64, Watch for Rolling Rocks, 0.5 A presses, commentated. If you're watching this, you'll likely have seen it already. In the video, he collects a star from the stage Hazy Maze Cave, Watch for Rolling Rocks. Later, the video was posted on 4chan, a forum site, where it gained lots of traction and instantly became a meme. This brought a lot of attention to the ABC, but not all of it was positive. Some people took it seriously and thought it was interesting, but most people treated it as a joke, since all this weird pseudoscience was in this children's game from 20 years ago. For years, and even to this day, ABC videos and discussions are ripe with memers, who only wish to disrupt the conversation with the same quotes over and over. A comment featured in the video by YouTube user TJ Henry Yoshi, saying an A press is an A press, you can't say it's only a half, also became a meme, causing him strife for years, to the point where he has made a Twitter account to document all the notifications he gets related to the comment. The account is titled TJ's Daily Suffering. Despite all that, the community users Pan and Koic, Tyler Caney, Plush, TimeStoppa, and much more continue to dedicate a lot of time to the project, only proving how incredibly resilient they are. The ABC is such an intriguing challenge because of the intricate and precise strategies used to lower the A press count and the community that does it. How they got from 263 A presses to 19 is super interesting. The strategies such as parallel universes and cloning are amazingly precise, and the community is incredibly committed and heartwarmingly kind. The A button challenge is still being worked on constantly. The count will continue to lower, perhaps to the point that in a few years the game will be beatable without ever having to press the A button. The future seems bright, but only time will tell.
TJ Henry Yoshi.